Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Combs.
Present.
Mr. Hinchey.
Present.
Mr. Luther.
Present.
Ms. Nelson.
Present.
Ms. Reclue.
Present.
Mr. Stone.
Present.
Mr. Washington.
Here.
Mr. West.
Here.
8 council members present, Mayor.
Thank you. Now, Reverend, you have the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Would you stand, please, and place the flag?
Thank you, sir.
Privilege, sir. Merry Christmas to you all.
Okay, now we'll have comments from visitors. Please come forward, give us your name, your address, and I'll allow you 3 minutes.
My name is David Hollaball, address 8525 Pitcher Road, Fulton. I'm the treasurer of the Kingdom Pilots Association and rent Hangar 19 at the airport. These comments were approved by the KPA at our November meeting. In December of last year, 6 members of the KPA addressed the City Council regarding proposed airport hangar rent adjustments, resulting in their removal from the 2024 rate book. The Director of Administration stated, quote, "We will continue having discussions with you guys before we bring anything back to the City Council for their consideration for inclusion in the rate book," end quote. An Airport Advisory Board meeting was held on March 5th of this year with 6 city representatives and 7 KPA members attending. Hangar rent discussion was an agenda item. The minutes of this meeting state, quote, "KPA will discuss further at their meetings as well as city in their meetings. It was decided to keep this on the meeting agenda for future meetings as well," end quote. Regrettably, there have been no future meetings, as a meeting scheduled for June 18th was canceled and no meetings are currently scheduled despite multiple requests. I am not aware of any other communication that has occurred with the KPA or hangar tenants. On November 14th, I noted in the Fulton Sun that the November 12th City Council meeting had a first reading for a proposed ordinance adopting an official rate book for 2025. I went to City Hall to obtain a copy and was told by the city clerk that this was a sunshine request and I would have to pay to get it. It struck me as fundamentally wrong and contrary to open government that a citizen had to pay for an electronic copy of a document containing the rates, fees, and charges that the city intends to impose on its citizens. Upon reviewing the airport section, I found that just as proposed a year ago, hangar rental rates would be subject to increase annually based on the Missouri Consumer Price Index adjustment, without any consideration for hangar aging, tenant-installed improvements, comparison to rates at nearby airports, or other factors. Most hangars would see increases ranging from 19 to 22%. However, rates for 2 hangars are proposed to have a 0% increase, suggesting that the CPI adjustment is being applied in a discretionary fashion. Additionally, the Parks and Rec yearly rental rate paid to the airport for the soccer park remains at $800, also not subject to the CPI adjustment, and perpetuating the airport subsidy of Parks and Rec. In conclusion, as I stated a year ago, we understand that hangar rental rates may need to be periodically adjusted. However, we believe the proposed methodology is flawed. The reality is the city is our landlord and can set the rates at whatever you want. However, we do not believe the city has met their pledge for discussion of hangar rental rate adjustments with the stakeholders, which we would not have even known about had I not followed up on the Fulton Sun article. Once again, we request that hangar rental rate adjustments be deferred until these discussions are complete. Thank you for your time. Can I answer any questions?
Thank you. We won't ask any questions at this time.
I've got copies of my remarks.
I'll take a copy, sir.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? And the council won't answer questions or ask questions.
Okay.
My name is Lance Campbell. I live at 4601 Nathaniel Drive in Columbia, Missouri. I too am here to speak about the proposed hangar rate changes. Dave did an excellent summary. I'll add just a little bit further to that. I would say most of the tenants, and I'm also a tenant at the airport as well, one of the hangars, I'd say most of the tenants don't have a problem with a moderate increase for hangar rental rates. But the thing that I would propose is that 20% isn't a moderate rate increase for a given year. I would challenge each of you to give a moment's thought to consider your home mortgage payment, and if you had 20% added to that, that wouldn't be a trivial amount of a change in a given year. A year ago, we provided comparisons to similar communities, and as a summary to that, Fulton ties with the most expensive in all of the mid-Missouri area in towns of a similar size. This increase will put Fulton 20% above all of the other competitors. My question would be is why and what is being provided to merit the premium for being at the Fulton Airport. Pricing beyond the local market is what will slowly drive pilots to other communities. This will take time, and this is the type of a 5 to 10 year kind of problem, but eventually pilots will move to adjacent communities that will start a decline at the airport. Not all, and that can lead into not all the hangars are full, you have less operations, less activity. That in turn eventually leads to a reduced federal funding levels. If you want additional revenues, build more hangars. A 10% money put up by the city is met with 90% federal grant assistance. And the city keeps all the revenue from those hangar rents. If you want a suggestion, use a basic T hangar, because that is comparable across all different airports. Other airports have different size, larger hangars, but a T hangar is a basic standard to measure for a general GA airplane. Start with a T hangar. Start with today, give it a CPI index, not backdating it for years, and have a cap that after that CPI index, it still stays within, say, 5% above the surrounding communities, such as Mexico, Moberly, Boonville, Eldon, and others. Stay competitive is my main point. Bigger picture, this should all fit within a large plan or vision for the growth of the airport that is self-funding and expanding, but I've not seen or heard any plan or vision of what direction that is for the airport or the monies from it. We all of us, from all the pilots and everybody out at the community, we all want to see the airport thrive. We enjoy being there. It's a great facility. And we're all very much willing and interested in being part of the solution and help come to a good solution that works for everybody. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Adams. My address is 4002 Iguana Drive, Columbia, Missouri. I'm a tenant at Fulton Airport, and I'm here to discuss airport land leases. For anyone unaware, a land lease allows a tenant to lease ground from the airport owner to build on or improve upon, specifically for building or improving existing aircraft hangars. For over 2.5 years, there have been interested parties negotiating in good faith with the city to come to an agreement on airport land leases that are conducive for commercial operations. At the beginning of this summer, we were told that the city is no longer interested in discussing land leases and that no new land leases would be offered at this time. Multiple meetings were denied and our voices were unheard through the appropriate communication channels. It was not until today that I learned from Brad Luther that the city administration is in fact still working on revised land leases behind closed doors. While this is promising, it still leaves the interested parties waiting to voice our needs and concerns to ensure that the land leases incorporate everything needed to successfully operate a business and ensure our personal investments are protected. To summarize, there are 4 business entities and 1 personal entity that are interested in building or improving existing hangars at the airport. This will bring more operations, more aircraft, and ultimately more federal funding and fuel revenue to the airport. We're requesting the opportunity to sit down with the city and voice our needs and concerns. The current land lease is not conducive for commercial operations. There's reversionary language, which would mean we would have to forfeit our buildings after the land lease is up, which is currently 20 years. There's language that states hangars can only be used for personal aircraft. Subleasing and renting is prohibited. Selling of fuel, fluids, or other merchandise is prohibited, all of which are necessary for aviation businesses to operate. Additionally, the square foot cost for the land lease at Fulton Airport is 2 times any of the surrounding airport land leases. We urge City Council to encourage the City Administration to expedite the review of land leases before the interested parties pursue other airport locations. It should be noted that none of our requests are beyond the scope of the FAA federal grant assurances, meaning we're not asking for anything that the FAA will not allow a federally funded airport to do. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? Okay. Seeing no one else, we'll move on to recognition of some of our Fulton firefighters.
I'll just let you read off from that, and that kind of tells.
I'll read one. I think they're all the same, I would assume. So I'll start with Captain Justin Malone. In recognition of the outstanding service and compassion on the morning of November the 4th, 2025, arriving on scene to find the newborn already delivered, your calm presence and expert care offered vital support to both mother and baby during this unforgettable moment. I congratulate all 3 of you for that. I know that's not an easy task. I've delivered 3 during my career.
So this is the Stork Award. It's kind of the history of fire service. If you're part of delivering a baby, you'll get a stork pin. So they're part of that. So we appreciate you all having me do this.
Chief Singh, would you please speak their names into the microphone so the people at home can hear?
Captain Justin Malone, firefighter Braxton McGinnis, and firefighter Dalton Hood. And Malone, you all are dismissed.
Okay, we'll move on. We have a public hearing this evening. There will be one public hearing this evening on the agenda for the purpose of declaring some land at, what's on here? Where's it at? Oh, 512 East 8th Street. The format of the hearing will be as follows. I will issue 3 calls for anyone wishing to speak in opposition, then 3 calls for anyone that wishes to speak in favor of. We ask that you come to the podium, state your name and address. I will now open the first hearing. For anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this matter, please come forward. Seeing no one, second call, is there anyone present that wishes to speak in opposition of this matter? Seeing no one come forward, I'll issue the third and final call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this matter? Seeing no one, we'll move on to anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this matter. The first call is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this matter? Seeing no one come forward, I'll issue the second call for anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this matter. Third and final call, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this matter? I now declare the hearing Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which is city council meeting minutes from November the 12th. We have a motion made. Second to pass the minutes from November the 12th. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. We have no unfinished business at this time. Now we'll move on to new business. And we have Fulton and Simon available to speak. Mike,
Yes, Kyle Brimmer, city engineer, city of Fulton. I'll introduce Keenan. Keenan is the engineer for Mike Wall on this project, as the mayor just stated, and can help answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you. Keenan Simon, 1516 Business Loop 70 West, Columbia, Missouri, 65202. I am the civil engineer that is working with Mike Wall for this project there off Old Jefferson Street. We are requesting a private street with the property. There's some constraints with topography, and the best way to kind of fit in, I guess, the duplex sites that he's looking to place on the property is to create a private street that is I guess the access easement width, which would be like the right-of-way width, is a little bit narrower, which allows us to place some utilities within that access and easement, I guess, street. I guess I'm sorry, you'd call it like this. Trying to think of the best way to describe this. The street envelope, if that makes sense. It's to serve 6 lots, 6 duplex lots, to try and create some relief for any on-street parking. Within the display that I provided, there is a single car garage on each side of the duplex, along with enough paving in the front yard area for the driveway up to that garage to have two cars parked side by side as well and be off the street completely. The street width is proposed at 28 feet wide. This does allow for parking on one side of the street, but we do feel like with the three parking stalls that are supported for each side of the duplex unit should be sufficient for the tenants that would take on those places. So with any questions you might have, I'll try and do my best to answer them.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. So I've taken a look at this. In your letter to Kyle, you state it's intended to match the city's details/design standards as an asphalt street with no curb and gutter. This style of street matches all the surrounding roadway infrastructure. I am not in favor of no curbs and gutters, and I don't see any mention of sidewalks here at all. I wouldn't expect them on the side with a retention pond, but I would think that they would be desired to be by the duplexes.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk up and down Old Jefferson, so we were kind of just matching what was in the surrounding area there, if that kind of makes sense.
Understood, but that's immaterial to me. I mean,
Okay.
We have to start somewhere to make things go, and all of our subdivisions that we're building now have curbs and gutters and sidewalks, so that would be my only concern with this.
Understand. I mean, there is some drainage relief that we're looking at with the topography, and it seemed to work out better to have that stormwater sheet flow off the street and then drain directly into the detention basin, and that's kind of what we were trying to accomplish with that. That's why it's a little bit different than a standard street with curb and gutter there. That's definitely something we could look into if it's a deal breaker.
Okay.
That's my
Okay,
2 cents
well,
with that.
I'll think about that part, but yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Can you speak to your intent about a private road? That is extremely uncommon within
Yeah.
the city limits, and
Yeah, no, like I was trying to explain is the constraints that we have is mainly related to topography. The property has a fair amount of fall from, I think it's from the north side to the south side. And trying to develop a flat buildable area for a duplex is kind of difficult. So by shrinking down where you typically have a right-of-way width of 50 feet, we were going to provide an access and utility easement width of 30 feet outside, or 30 feet width, or 40 foot width, I'm sorry, outside of that private street, and still allow the utilities to go within that access and utility easement, to where if it was a public street, we would have to have that 50 width and then place the utilities outside of that 50-foot width. So what we're having an issue with is just the constraints with the topography, and this was one of the scenarios which would allow us to maintain that duplex development. Very similar in nature with street widths and such, but you're right, it would be a private street. There would be an HOA that would be set up to maintain the stormwater BMP, the detention basin, along with the maintenance of that street as well.
that's just very uncommon in the city.
Yeah,
limits
it's
for us to,
I understand, it's a bit of a unique
because
scenario.
at some point there'll probably be a responsibility of the city. It's just, okay, thank you.
So,
Question.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, what about emergency? What if something happens in emergency? You know, you're not part of the city. I don't understand.
No, we're part of the city, and the street meets the correct width for emergency egress and access. We have the same size cul-de-sac that's required per the city requirements, so there's no change with regards to the pavement width.
We just wouldn't maintain it, we would do snow removal.
Right, snow removal or none of that, about fire protection, anything like that, you know?
No, they would, emergency services protect is all, yeah, and we meet all those national standard requirements for those emergency services and everything.
Is there a reason you don't want, why do you want a private?
Yes, the private road has to do with the
Okay.
width of the right-of-way and the easements that are required on each side of that roadway. That overall width with the 10-foot easement on each side,
Right.
you know, you're looking at 50, 10 and 10, so 70 feet of width. that we can't really work with the grades coming from one side of the property to the other. So the private roadway gives us the flexibility to still provide the same pavement width, the same cul-de-sac diameter for emergency services that the city would see, but it gives us the opportunity to kind of scrunch everything together and still be able to develop this property and get a use out of it so that, duplexes could be built out there. Does that kind of make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
So the drawing doesn't show a diameter on the cul-de-sac. Is that, you're saying that's a standard diameter?
I believe that is correct. That's
Because based on the
98
smaller
feet.
road, it looks like it may be a smaller diameter, and I was curious about
Nope.
the sanitary trucks coming down to.
No, it's
Right.
it's going to be the exact size of what's required here in the city of Fulton.
Thank you.
Nope, no problem.
We have sanitation trucks,
Mhm.
big trucks. Do you have any problems with that being able to go down?
Nope, I mean, like I said, the street section detail, I can definitely pass along to Kyle Brenner with here with the city and make sure that it meets the standards that he's expecting, but, yeah, there's no concern.
I'm also in agreement with Councilman West when he says that we need to make sure that some curbs and gutters and also sidewalks. I think in this day and age that we need to have those things. I know in the past, we probably forfeited some of those because we have subdivisions that we don't have sidewalks and curbs and gutters. So I know going forward, if we have any say-so, I like to see that.
Okay. No problem. Is there any other questions or? All right.
Is it possible
sorry.
to add sidewalks within this footprint?
Definitely would not be able to make it go on both sides of the street, but we
Yeah.
could definitely look at what the feasibility would be to fit it on the north side of the street, the side of the street where the duplex
duplexes
units
are?
would fit on. Obviously, that sidewalk going, there's no, it wouldn't connect anything up on Jefferson, Old Jefferson Street. With a dead end, kind of what I've seen is when you get into, a smaller type cul-de-sac and there's only, 6 duplexes on there, so 12 units. There's not a lot of through traffic with foot traffic. You're not getting people cutting through there, so it's not as big of a deal that I've seen with people walking on the street itself because it's not a cut-through street. I'm just kind of talking through a little bit of experience and kind of what we've seen when it gets to a smaller type dead-end street. It's not to say that sidewalk isn't something that we could do. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of feedback of what I've seen in some other places. So I didn't really think it was necessarily a deal breaker from that standpoint. Now, if this was a through street, I 100% agree that I think taking the pedestrian traffic off the roadway would be something we would want to do. But with a shorter dead-end cul-de-sac road like this, you shouldn't have people flying through there.
My bigger concern is the kids.
Yeah.
If you have kids, and I'm assuming that you're gonna design these for families.
Yeah, I mean,
And
obviously.
this is 12 units, and
Okay.
that could be quite a few kids in each unit. And my bigger concern is that if there's kids riding their bikes and the street is already slightly narrow, and you have people parking,
The street is not narrow. I just want to make that 28 feet wide is,
if you have people parking on one side consistently,
Mhm.
and you have kids riding their bikes and people trying to drive through, that's a safety hazard. So I would like to see sidewalks on at least the north side. I don't think it's necessary
Okay.
to be on both sides, but I would like to know at least what that looks like and if it's doable.
yeah, I think we can definitely take a look at that. And like I said, I don't have any problem,
I
looking
agree.
into that.
Several neighborhoods in our community that we're advocating for sidewalks because of that same reason, because of the kids. We want to encourage our kids to get outside and not sit in front of video games.
Yep.
And so just for the safety aspect of it.
Yeah, that, like I said,
Including Old Jefferson City Road.
It's
Very serious.
And Coat Sandesson.
okay.
And I think it'd be unreasonable to ask for sidewalks on the side where there's a retention pond.
Yeah, no, I
Right.
understand.
That just
Like I said,
And-
I think
and
we
be
can make,
unnecessary, but
To make a clarification here, the road goes north and south, so it would have to
Yeah,
be the
I'm-
west side.
yeah.
I don't have the display in front of me, and I'm thinking
fine.
about how the
Yeah.
page was laid out. I apologize. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, I hear you.
You're right.
I do want to say, though, I am super excited to see the proposal. We
Okay.
need housing in our community.
Yes.
And I am for that.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I don't think that it would be an issue to look at trying to fit a sidewalk in there, and we can definitely see what we can do. Yep, not a problem.
This is just, all of this is just a discussion with the potential, or with the potential developer. I am not in favor of a private road.
Okay.
I don't believe that that's something that we should adopt within the city limits. We need to not plan for a private road within the city limits. So my suggestion is.
Would you be willing to accept a reduced right-of-way width?
Probably not.
Okay.
But
So there's no
the rest of
flex.
my comment was work with Mr. Brimmer and city administration on a development that would not make this a private road.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, we've looked at it a couple different directions, and I don't think that there's gonna be an opportunity without narrowing down that section.
That can be part of a discussion, but it needs to be part of a discussion from the perspective that it would not be a private road.
So,
Yeah, we have done that before.
we need to, I think we need to talk to the utilities too, because that's really gonna be the crunch, is to get the utilities, to be able to get the utilities to everything.
And to echo the councilwoman, everybody on this panel and everybody on this council wants more development. We
Right.
want as many homes as you can put up and get as much as we can get.
Mhm.
But we're also being very deliberate in how our developments are going forward. We're not just looking to, oh, well, the next street over has this, so we're gonna continue doing that from 25 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, there was a,
We want the development.
yeah, no, I mean, there was a substantial effort put forth to try and see what we could accomplish with this property, because it's kind of developed all around it, and there's not much wiggle room to really do much. And after creating some preliminary grading models, I don't know that unless there was, I'm not so sure that we'll be able to fit that 50-foot residential street envelope in this property. I'm just being honest with you. It's just, yeah. Okay. Can do.
I think our ordinances, Kyle, you can answer this. I think we can go to the smaller streets, but I'm worried about and maybe Darrell needs to weigh in on this too, is how we can have our utility easements for what we need to be able to service everything in here.
So on the street, the 28-foot wide, I worked with Keenan on at least getting to that level. You guys know that anything, I think it's 32 foot or under, has to come to the council for approval, because the preferred road width is a road width that handles parking on both sides. So, I think that's the first hurdle that should be considered here. And, one thing for Keenan, for him and the owner that he's working for him to push forward and to spend more money on getting that layout that we're talking about, having some clarity, like one on the street width, I think that's a good starting point. It's 28 foot wide with one-sided parking acceptable generally. I mean, this is for discussion right now because it's going to come back to you. It's going to go through P&Z and it's going to come back to you. But is that generally acceptable to you guys?
Personally, I'm generally acceptable to that, but I think a sidewalk would make that very palatable. Because then we're looking, you know, curbs and gutter and a sidewalk on that west side where you know, I'm assuming the way it's built, you're not gonna be able to put it on the east side with the retention basin. But I think a 28-foot wide street, parking on one side with curb and gutter and a sidewalk would make that street width very palatable. But
It's not the ideal, but for, you know, we understand the restraints around it. So, and we want to encourage the development, okay?
And that would meet our standard as far as curb and gutter, sidewalk, you know, we'll work on the street section and make sure that that meets too. And Keenan's been very good at corresponding to me, and sometimes too good, right?
Councilman Luther, did you have?
That's right. But the trick here is that it's a pretty narrow piece of property. And to meet the setback requirements and the right-of-way requirements, and the easement requirements, that kind of thing, like Keenan has put forward, that's kind of where he's been in the crunch, you know, of trying to fit in the box but not really be able to fit in the box, you know, so, right.
So the only options are that we make it a private drive, so you're allowed to do a different easement, or we as a council look at giving a pass, an allowance. Is that correct? In order to accomplish that?
I would say that,
Make sure I'm understanding correctly.
I would say the understanding would be that when Keenan proposes a plat that has a narrower right-of-way that doesn't fit, and you guys, or P&Z asked, does this meet our standard, knowing that it's not going to meet that standard, but still, you know, that if it's not going to work, it's not going to work, right? You know, he doesn't want to invest, you know, his owner doesn't want to keep investing in this and keep going down that path and keep paying, sorry, Keenan, keep paying you, you know, right? If it's a no at the end of the trail, you know, so it's trying to figure out
What the flexibility
Right.
might be to keep this moving.
And that's why Keenan, you know, that's why he's here tonight.
So I think it's important to also consider, it's going to come back to the city council. As Kyle mentioned, there's planning and zoning. There may even be board of adjustment with this specific situation, depending upon, again, a lot of factors. So I think the things that would help us orchestrate an effective conversation, Keenan, go back with the property owner, and again, also have an effective conversation there, is understanding how palatable, as Councilman Stone put it, is a private street. That's question one. And then secondly, a more narrow street with obviously some additional considerations to curb, guttering, sidewalk. I think those are the two things that we're all going to need to have a little clarity on in order to kind of move this forward in an effective way, in a feasible way as well. So I'm not asking for any level of approval tonight, but it would be helpful for us to understand what the council's desire is on those two issues.
So would it be possible, maybe it won't be, but would it be possible to move that street 2 feet east? And that would allow for easy sidewalk and curbs and gutter
As long as they don't have to do detention.
Towards the retention pond?
towards the retention pond.
Currently, right now, I'm barely, like, with the preliminary design work that I've done, I'm barely able to make that detention pond work, making it, you know.
Okay.
Essentially, we got, you know, a slope coming down a hillside, and I'm cutting, and then I gotta create a berm on the backside to catch.
Yeah, I was
that.
just kind of wondering if it's possible to do that.
So right now, I am kind of maxed out on our grades of 3-to-1 to the detention basin, and then our berm, and then 3-to-1 back down to the existing grade. It's
And I will share too, there are homeowners and properties, you know, directly to the east, below this property that you know, I think everything is safe how it is designed right now, and probably will be. It ends up draining kind of a little further east and north through those properties, but I would not want to skimp on the stormwater detention.
Okay, I think we probably understand what we need to do, but work with Kyle and see if we can't somehow come to a conclusion. I think the 28-foot street, I think that'll work. If we get curb and gutter, I think that'll work. And I think we can make it all work if we can get those things. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Patrick Bono. I'm the Loss Control Director for MIRMA, and you are a part owner in that association, whether you like it or not. MIRMA insures the city from a liability and workers' compensation standpoint, and we have a high interest in keeping claims as low as possible. In doing so, you guys can spend money on other things as opposed to claims and hospitals and other not fun things. So, in the interest of that, we have created a grant program, I guess 30 years ago, to help give some money back to the cities that proactively seek to limit their claims. And in doing so, your Parks Department has applied for an AED. And if they do indeed spend the money, which is $1,800 or more on that AED for the golf course, you will get more than just this certificate. You will get a check in the amount of $1,200. So I would like to present this to whoever would like to accept it, and I could answer any questions if any exist. Any what? Oh, not today, but I could. Okay. Is somebody taking a picture? Or just throw it at you? Congratulations.
How are we supposed to go like this? Here.
That's fine.
There we go.
And if I could add one thing, and I promise not to be long, over the last year, we have had a transition in the responsibility of the city working with MIRMA and basically who has to deal with me. And I just wanted to let you know that that transition has gone well. It is transferred from the fire chief, Russ, over to Samantha, and everything is going great, and I appreciate their time and efforts in helping keep our residents as well as employees as safe as possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for all the hard work and all the inspections you give us.
There has not been a public safety commission since the last meeting, and I have no concerns.
Councilman West?
Okay. The Human Rights Commission met on December 2nd, last week. And so the three orders of business were to discuss the Celia Vigil. That's going to be on December the 21st, which is a Saturday evening at 7 p.m. at the courthouse. We were hoping to have the governor of Missouri there, Governor Parson, to present a pardon, but I don't think we're to that point yet, so maybe next year. We also discussed Fair Housing Month, which is, I think it's in March. Anyway, and a timetable for a poster contest, so there's a lot to be done there. Basically, it runs March 1st through April 4th. For the artwork and all that sort of thing. So that's going on. And then we also briefly discussed Juneteenth 2025 and where it may be held. So we don't really have many details there yet, but did get started. So that's that. Any questions on that from anyone? Okay. Secondly, from a concern standpoint, I really don't have any concerns. I do want to express a lot of thanks to our city staff. This time of year, we didn't have a meeting Thanksgiving week, but all of our city staff and employees do a bang-up job, and I appreciate being part of this. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas coming up and prosperous New Year. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Reclus?
Yes, the Public Safety Commission, we haven't had a meeting, so we will have one in January. And we'll catch up on things that we're working on. And as Mike said, I want to wish everyone, the city workers, a Merry Christmas and a healthy New Year. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Stone?
Yes, the Historic Preservation Commission will resume meetings in January, and I believe we're going to have to pick a different date than normal, because I think our third Monday.
They're going to meet a week earlier.
They're going to meet the second week. Thank you very much. It'll be the second Monday in January. They meet at 1 o'clock here in the executive conference room. All the public's invited to that meeting. Pass on my thanks to Parks and Rec, and probably utilities and engineering and everybody that had anything to do with the Field of Joy. It is absolutely wonderful, and just can't thank all the city employees enough who had anything to do with that. And just happy holidays for however you celebrate. I hope you celebrate and have many blessings.
Thank you. Councilman Luther?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. There has been no airport advisory board meeting since our last council meeting. As far as concerns, really looking for more for updates. I've been out for a little bit with the family items, but I guess talking to Kyle, personal interest in the flashing crosswalk, right? We were speaking of child safety. That's definitely a big one that can help keep our kids safe. So just looks like for our crosswalks, we got all the materials purchased, and we'll begin installing those with in-house staff. So definitely looking forward to getting some of those safety measures in place to keep our kids safe. So, and reiterate Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and thanks to the entire city for everything they do every day. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Combs?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Commission did meet last week. We discussed the property that you'll see there that we had the public hearing for earlier tonight. We did have the two new commission officers join. There was a decent amount of discussion. I appreciated them being on there. One of the things that came up was the number of properties that currently aren't zoned properly. I know we've been talking about that for quite a while. That's again why this one's on there. I mean, we can talk about that one here in a little bit, but just still wanting to look at properties and get them zoned correctly, or start working towards that as a plan of some sort, because we still have no real updated plan other than these one-off changes that we've been doing. Outside of that, I will echo the sentiments about the Field of Joy. Was there for the turning those all on, and it was really cool to see. It seems like it continues to grow and brings out more people. I don't know that it was actually colder this year than last year, but there's a lot of people there other nights for that. And the only other thing that I didn't mention before, because I missed the last council meeting we had, and I don't know how many people knew about it, beginning of November, the high school had the district cross-country meet there, and they brought in over 5,000 people. And I know the city really helped support that in terms of being present and that sort of thing. But there was a piece, I don't think it was necessarily related to the city, like almost like a missed opportunity to really capitalize for our businesses to market to bring in that many people. Because those are people from all over the central Missouri area, and I don't know that a lot of the businesses actually knew that they were going to be there. But 5,000 people is, half the size of Fulton, so it's fairly substantial. So I don't know what we can do going forward, if the city can do anything else as a way of directing people, but it's we do our due diligence when it comes to sports events and having officers there helping with all of the things doing that, so that's always a positive. But it was just like, I felt like, man, we really missed an opportunity here in some way to reach those people. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to give kudos to all our officers and our chief. We had an outstanding, I believe, an outstanding Christmas parade, one of the biggest that I have seen in Fulton in so many years. I was very, very, very excited to see the joy of seeing the people in the community, the smiles on their faces, and it was really a sight to see. And our officers were very professional. They did their job, and those who put this parade together did an outstanding job. And I give them kudos and praise. So I'm just very thankful, and I just want to make thank some of the city staff people that helped in the support of the interest in Carver Park improvement. Things went well. We had a very good meeting, and so I'm glad that we seem to be heading in the right direction on that. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the time.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nelson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We have not had a utility board meeting since the last council meeting. I did want to ask about recycling. I know that at this time each year we kind of talked about, we missed our last council meeting, unfortunately, due to no quorum. And I know that's kind of where we discuss recycling and putting those recycling bins out each week during Christmas. Last year, I believe what we did was set up an extra recycling station. Are we doing that again this year?
I know someone that is so excited to come talk to you guys about this. I mean, he's barely staying contained right now. So, Daryl, if you can come on down, it is the topic of the season. So,
You woke him up, so now you'll be
Yes. I believe the containers.
Settle down, Daryl.
They're already on the north end and south end of the town like they were last year. And we do have, with Christmas in the middle of the week, I think what we've talked about, and Courtney, correct me if I'm wrong, but we won't do recycling the week of Christmas pickup because we got to catch up with the Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll collect Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday, and Thursday and Friday. And we'll, on Thursday, we will pick up Tuesday, Wednesday, and on Friday, we will pick up Thursday, Friday. And we'll get that on all the social media and everything out there.
yes. So Doris is already working.
Trash pickup.
Yes, trash pickup alone. So Doris is,
Next week.
Monday is absolutely the same. Doris is already working on some information to get out there. And then we've also talked about door hangers for those impacted routes as well. That way people are aware of it. And as Daryl mentioned, we won't do recycling the week of Christmas. However, we will pick right back up with that. And then we still will have those containers that you were talking
Yes.
about.
Correct. Or you can take your cardboards and stuff to the recycling containers on each end of town. Okay?
And so, will there be an extra recycling next week? Because this week is recycling week, right?
Yes.
And then next week we'll have recycling again? And
I
then,
believe so. At this time, we don't have yard waste just due to the nature of it. We typically go primarily recycling in December. So yes, we will have an extra recycling if you look at it that way. Yeah.
Everything will be
Excellent.
normal except for the week of Christmas.
Yes.
Please make sure.
Not.
Please make sure you take it. Exactly, yeah.
We're off 2 days that week. So instead of it being normal, I mean, we wish it was normal, but it can't be.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daryl. I appreciate your enthusiasm. And I want to reiterate the Field of Joy. I appreciate all of our city staff getting out there and working so hard. I know that that is a real enjoyment for our whole community. Even if you don't get to get out, it's worth driving through. It's beautiful. It's a great place to go with your family. And each year it amazes me at how great it is. And it's just that we have that to share in our community, and it's amazing. So I appreciate our staff and everybody that put the effort into that. And I guess if I don't wish everybody a Merry Christmas, I'd feel left out. So Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you. I too want, in fact, I was at the chamber Christmas party just a few minutes before I came down here, and I had probably 6 people tell me what fantastic display we had down there, and they've been there. One person been there twice, so people love it. I'm glad, and I think it's probably a highlight of our city at this time of year. And they do an excellent job keeping, you and your people do an excellent job, Charlene, keeping it going. I want to thank you. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I did forget one thing. We've had some weather. We had snow that I didn't anticipate, and I really appreciate the staff getting out there quickly and promptly to get the streets clear. In addition, I also noticed that there wasn't as many cars to go around. So I also really appreciate our citizens kind of paying attention to that for our staff to be able to get through the streets and get them plowed. So thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
All right. Well, yes.
if I may, I'm sorry, I forgot one other thing. I was at that same thing at the chamber after hours, and I had someone compliment me on how our police force handled the parade on Saturday, and I wanted to pass that along as well. So thank you to our police staff for that.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to resolutions. Councilman West, you want to read Resolution 3561, please?
Yes, sir. Resolution number 3561, equipment lease with Johnson Fitness. A resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all necessary documents in relation to a 4-year lease with Johnson Fitness for Legends Recplex cardio equipment and establish an effective date. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 3561 at this council meeting.
Second.
Very well. Do we have questions? I know Charlene's been working very hard on getting some of these equipment leases put together, and I think this is a good one. So,
yeah, I have one question. I first of all appreciate going out and shopping around for a good loan rate. Thank you for that, Charlene. But secondly, will we own this after the 4 years? Is that how that works, or I didn't really understand?
Yeah. Charlene McCarter, Park Superintendent. You have the opportunity to buy it out or renew a lease with them.
Okay.
So currently we're in a 4-year lease. That's coming to an end, so we can buy out that equipment or we can re-enter a lease with them. The reason we're opting to enter a new lease is because it's very costly to maintain that fitness equipment.
Okay.
And during that lease contract, they cover all fixes or replacements of any pieces that break on the equipment.
So it's worth our while to do it that way, sounds like. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, actually, it's usually about 2 weeks, so there's a little bit of leeway time in there, but they're typically pretty responsive to replacing that. Yeah, you're welcome.
Charlene, how many breakdowns have we had on any of the machines that we need?
So, that is a good question. I would say it's more of pieces that are used more often. So the rower machine, treadmills, the steppers. I would have to get the data exactly on numbers, but if I were to guess, it was probably about 25 to 30 service calls in the last 2 years. That's what I would put it at. So.
When we enter these leases, do we have the opportunity to update?
Yes, we do. So we can select different equipment, and actually we have done that with this new lease. So we do keep in mind what is used, so we can keep track of the mileage on the machines. So there are machines that we're swapping out. We're taking the opportunity to put a couple of new pieces in there. One piece is wheelchair accessible. I think that's a good opportunity to, include everybody in the community in our building. Also, we're kind of hoping that we can entice more people in by putting new, different equipment in there for the year of 2025.
Thank you for all your work on this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Brad?
What's our current lease, I guess, total price versus the renewed lease price we're looking at? The difference?
So prior lease was at like 71 when we entered 4 years ago. This lease is going to be 82.9 is what I'm looking at. This does include also purchasing spin bikes. So we have several spin bikes that are very low in cost to purchase outright, and we feel that to maintain those, there will be significantly no maintenance on them. So this would be to lease all the equipment except for those 6 spin bikes.
And I would just point out again, while you're seeing a slight cost increase, you're also seeing a savings on the term of that lease with going with a local lender as well.
Correct. And that was one key thing that I thought was important to look at. Who we currently use as a lender is a very high interest rate, and we wanted to evaluate a more substantial rate for the city in the long run.
And I appreciate that effort. Do we have people on staff that know how to use the different equipment, can instruct users? Because I wouldn't have an idea on some of this, I'm sure.
So that's a great question too. So what I'd say is the representative that we have with Johnson Fitness is going to do a whole day event and give away like promo items as well. And he's going to go through and show and demo different pieces of equipment. What I would like to see is possibly us do small little reels on our Facebook page that we internally can show how to use certain pieces of equipment, so then members or anybody new coming to the facility would have the capability of knowing how to do that.
Because we really don't have any trainers.
Correct.
Per se, do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're looking for them.
Okay.
So if you want to take your hand at it,
Yeah,
Mike.
no, I don't think so. Don't get this physique from working out. Thank you.
Okay, we have any other questions?
One
Not-
final one. We did
Okay.
approve the budget for the fiscal year. Is this 82.9 covered in that? I don't have it in front of me. Is
Yes,
that part of
this
the budget?
was included in that budget.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
It's already moved in a second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Councilwoman Reclue, would you read Resolution 3562, please?
Mr. Mayor. Okay. Resolution, excuse me, I'm sorry. Resolution 3562, Aviation Project Consultant Agreement with CMT. A resolution of the City of Fulton, Missouri, authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Fulton, Missouri, to execute all necessary documents in relation to an aviation project consultant agreement, federal assistant, with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly Incorporated, CMT, regarding runway 18 through 36 at the Elton Hensley Memorial Airport, project number 24-040-A-1, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion that to adopt resolution 3562 at this council meeting.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Now we'll move on to Resolution 3563.
Yes,
Councilman Stone, would you read that, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 3563, fiscal year 25, Mid-Missouri Solid Waste Management District Grant. Resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Fulton, Missouri, to make application and sign all necessary documents in relation to the Mid-Missouri Solid Waste Management District Grant to purchase additional recycling dumpsters for the City of Fulton Solid Waste Department. I make a motion to pass Resolution 3563 at tonight's meeting.
Second?
Very well. This is a grant that we've enjoyed for many years, so. Do we have questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Resolution 3564. Councilman Luther, would you read that for us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 3564, Westminster College Logo Painting Agreement. Resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to enter into an agreement with Westminster College to allow the college to paint its logo at the intersection of 7th Street and Westminster Avenue in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 3564 at this council meeting.
Second.
Very well. I think that's a neat idea, and I think hopefully the other, some of the other schools will move forward with this idea. I don't know if anyone's been on the North Main Street in St. Charles, but they have whole murals in their intersections down there. It's pretty neat. So this will be a start, hopefully. Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you. We'll move on to Resolution 3565. That's an equipment lease with John Deere that, again, that Charlene worked hard on. Councilman Combs, will you read that for us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 3565, equipment lease with Deere and Company. A resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all necessary documents in relation to a 2-year lease with Deere and Company for tractor equipment and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 3565 at this council meeting.
Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Aye.
So again, on this, Charlene, what's our prices for this 2-year lease for this equipment?
Yeah, so 2-year lease price is $77,591 for these 2 tractors.
That was incorporated in the budget as well?
Yes, it was as well. That and there's 2 pieces of equipment. So these 2 tractors, an additional piece of equipment, we did include in the budget for this next year.
And this type of equipment, I guess, did you get feedback from the people out there at Tanglewood?
So these 2 tractors, we have tractors that are pretty close to being inoperable. We've spent several $1,000s over the last year working on them. So we requested them to be leased through Turfworks, is who we originally were talking to. Then we also reached out to Turo. Turo will not respond to us. Turfworks basically, in their quote, offered to purchase those and cut us a check for the amount that we would then reissue back to them for our first payment. We felt that that wasn't a good option, that we could sell those through purchasing through the city, and we could reap more monetary benefit off of them than going that route. So I spoke to the purchasing agent here, and he had another contact with John Deere, so we explored a leasing option with them. We would get 2 brand new tractors, lease them for 2 years. At that point, we can buy them out or get 2 brand new tractors. They do include maintenance for those 2 years.
And you got feedback worked with your team on these? These are the pieces of equipment we need then that they prefer to operate?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, again, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Very well. Councilman Washington, would you read Resolution 3566, please?
Second?
Very well. Brad? I could see you.
I'm sure you guys are tired of me not.
Okay, what's our total price for this lease agreement?
This lease agreement would be for $27,450.
That's in our budget.
It is.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have to recuse myself from this next one. I'm providing some financial support on it.
So what we'll have you do is if you want to just step to the council study, that would be fine, and we can move forward with this item. Councilman Hinchey's recusing himself. So.
That door was locked today, so maybe, I don't know if Jeremy unlocked it or not, just in case.
Okay, Councilwoman Reclus, will you read Resolution 3567, please?
Yes.
Select door
Mr.
number 2, please.
Yes, Mr.
In the executive conference. Thanks, Mr. Hinchey.
We'll continue our shopping, okay. Resolution number 3567, agricultural land lease with JT Farms. Resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all necessary documents in relation to the 3-year lease for 5.1 acres of agricultural land located at 4420 County Road 304 and establishing the effective date. And make a motion that resolution 3567 be adopted at this council meeting.
Second?
Okay, very good. We have a motion and second. Is there questions?
Just,
Mike?
well, I'm not sure where
Yeah.
4420 County Road 304 is. I mean, is that the airport? Is that,
Yeah, it's the airport property.
okay. So this is typical of what we've been doing?
Yeah, this is pretty,
Doesn't seem like very much money, my only
no,
thought.
that land's not very good either.
So they actually farm it, it's not, they're just not getting hay off of it, they're actually farming it, that's right?
No, it's actually going to be for a chicken operation is my understanding, so. What operation? Chicken. Some chicken trailers. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if ADOA Schultz has any additional information or if Mr. Brimmer has any clarification on what land this is. I'm sure that's of interest to the group here tonight.
Will they interfere with the airport? Yeah.
I believe he typically loses money farming that.
I'm sorry?
I believe he typically loses money. He lives at Hallsville.
Okay.
I believe Hallsville or Sturgeon or somewhere up there. And so he has to travel down here, so.
Okay.
Right, this is on the outskirts of the airport essentially, and it's on the very edge of the airport. As the mayor noted, it's not the the best property out there, but the chickens will be they're not going to be free range out for flying around or anything like that. So they'll be in a trailer moving around. So hopefully they're not a nuisance out at the airport.
Just one more thing to add too. So with them using this land for farming and for the chickens, it does cut down on the amount of brush hogging that we have to do as well. So that was really the main driving force for that. So just let you guys know. Thank you.
And the revenues are in the budget?
I'm not sure that it is an insignificant amount, but we will reassess that. I believe that the budget was already addressed prior, but thank you, Councilman Stone. Thank you.
I just had to with this.
Okay, seeing no further question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, bill number 1737, emergency rezoning, 512 East 10th, 8th Street. Councilman Henschel, would you read that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1737, emergency, rezoning of 512 East 8th Street. An ordinance reclassifying under the zoning code the tract of land located at the 512 East 8th Street from the current rezoning of R2 residential, one of two family residential, to R3 multifamily dwelling residential in Fulton, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to
We will, Councilman Hinchey, because this is an emergency ordinance, the first reading does have to be in its entirety. You can choose to make your motion that it be read by title only at any subsequent readings this evening.
Oh, okay. Now therefore it being ordained by the City Council and the City of Fulton, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that tract of land located 512 East 8th Street in Fulton, Missouri, from after the effective date of this ordinance shall be reclassified from the present zoning designation R2 residential to R3 residential. Section 2, that this ordinance is an emergency ordinance with the meaning of Article 3, Section 310F of the Fulton City Charter due to the extended period during which the Planning and Zoning Commission was unable to achieve quorum. This delay has prevented necessary actions, important matters, creating the undue burdens of citizens awaiting a resolution. To ensure the fairness and timely consideration of these matters, and to avoid further delays in all three readings of this ordinance, must be completed in one meeting. Addressing this issue as an emergency ordinance ensures the city can fulfill its obligation to the city community promptly. Section 3, that this ordinance shall be in full force and effect after passage by the council and approval of the mayor. I make a motion that this bill number 1737 emergency for the second reading by title only at this city council meeting.
Second.
Okay, questions?
I know it said that we didn't, there wasn't enough to have a quorum to, in the planning and zoning. Is there reasoning why they didn't want to be in a hurry to pass this instead of going through the regular channels? I mean, is somebody waiting to build something? And I'm just wanting to know.
May I address that?
Yeah.
I spent probably an hour with our city engineer this morning discussing this and some other things, and it was explained to me, because the quorum, the gentleman is trying, the owner is trying to renovate it to make more apartments in the building, and he's already done quite a bit of improvements outside if you've driven by or anything like that, and so he's been on hold because the building permit was denied, basically. So he's been on hold for quite a while. So it's kind of our fault that he's not, because we haven't been able to get the quorum, is my understanding. And I appreciate the conversation I had with both Kyle and Casey. We got involved with it a little bit this morning too. So thank you for that.
So basically, it's basically on our part that we weren't able to fulfill that time required.
So on the emergency side of it, I think Mike spoke to that a little bit. Is it the lack of council, quorum the last time? I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. But
Planning and zoning.
Planning and zoning. There you go. Thank you, Kathy. But Bob, any other questions that you've? Right. It's as Mike mentioned, the outside of the building, it looks so much better than it used to. The neighborhood could, in that area, definitely, the work that's been done to it is definitely an asset to the neighborhood there. So on one hand, we're excited about that, but on the other hand, it's the use that that building is presently doesn't conform to the present zoning. So we're trying to the owner's trying to bring this forward to make it conform. And the way to make it conform in his mind is to get it rezoned to what it is now.
Do you have any concerns with that, Kyle?
The concerns that were brought up at the P&Z meeting were looking into the future and worrying about how that fits with the neighborhood in the future, and also some parking issues. Given that it's already really being used as an R3 property, there's another property across the street,
Right.
wrong or right, is also being used as a non-conforming R3 in the R2 area here. So I don't personally see that, but I don't live in that area. So you guys, all live here, see what's up there. I don't see where it's going to be a huge issue. Speaking of the parking, if he expands it, he will have to modify parking to meet the code requirements. And so off-street parking in the back is potentially available. I believe Casey has talked to the owner about potentially adding parking if future modifications to the building add more units.
I'll just add this real quick. This just goes back to what I was mentioning earlier with, we have houses being used one way when they're not conforming to the plan and zoning without a plan. I think most of the things over there are R2, but there are other houses being used as R3, and how do you manage that? But again, the other concerns were the parking, where there wasn't a whole lot of parking there in a very tight street. But also, once you convert to something to like R3, you could be completely torn down and build whatever that fits into R3 too, which is still just apartments or whatever. But
And this property's gone through many changes over the last 40 years. This is the old East End Market that's a catty corner to the Recplex. We've got the multifamily right across the street that's across the other corner of the Recplex. And the improvements that have been made to this property, just at least from the outside, are great, much needed.
And there is room for
And there's-
parking on the side street and actually on the lot itself, so.
Yeah.
Kyle?
That would be-
Satellite shows lots of green space that would allow for parking behind it.
Yeah.
This was probably C1 at one time to allow for East End Market, so. And then they had a secondhand store and a few other things.
Kyle, do you want to, I have a map that was given to me today with parking. Do you want me to pass it through, or do you want to explain it? I'll pass it down this way to start with.
I think the map indicates.
Correct. So this is a map that Casey put together for us tonight and gave to Kathy. So it's showing that the existing on-street parking, but she's also demonstrating that in the back of the home there is a private alley, and there's potential to add parking on the back side if we run into that. So it's just showing that there's enough property there to conform in the future.
Kyle? I mean, looking at this big picture, I mean, we're trying to get the zoning to fit what it's currently being used for, but is there a broader issue with people maybe not adhering to the currently established zoning requirements, and they're just building what they want, and now we got to go back and update the zoning requirements? So, is that something we're seeing here? Or is this something that just didn't get updated over the years? I'm trying to put all this together. From what I heard is it's built and we're adding on to it and making it R3, but it's not zoned that. So how do we get ahead of the zoning that's currently allowed?
Well, I can only speak to what our staff is able to do. And when building is happening and they're out in the public all the time looking at what's occurring and what we have permits for. In this instance, this person applied for a building permit. We looked at the zoning and realized, hey, it already does not conform, and we weren't proceeding forward with allowing the remodel permit because it didn't conform for the use. So, and that's what has spurred all this action. So, all I can speak to is what we can do and what the process is that but if things are done off the books and we are not able to catch them, I mean, there probably are instances like that, but
I think to expand further on that as well, Casey has compiled a list all across the city of buildings and properties that currently do not conform to their zoning that there's an issue with. So in 2025, we're going to be bringing that to the Planning and Zoning Commission for them to take a look at those specifically, and along with what Councilman Combs is saying, talk about a long-term strategic plan for planning and zoning. I do not feel that there is a concern of people evading the process. Kyle's absolutely correct that we are not always aware of every single thing. However, I think that piece that's really important is the occupancy permit and making sure that we're checking everything. So as Councilman Stone mentioned, this property specifically has gone through numerous changes in a very, very long period of time. I think that administratively and staff that used to also be involved with this process and with building inspections in general, there's been a lot of change there as well. So I think we're quite deliberate now about making sure that we follow our regulations and and they're applied unilaterally. So
yeah, I mean, I can tell you that Casey Bailey, and she does an amazing job for us, along with Matt Easley. That we are. Those are our two staff members that are have been doing this, and they haven't been. Casey has been in that department for a long time now, and she's leading that department up, and she's doing an amazing job. She is out looking and making sure that she can do whatever she can do to make sure this doesn't continue to be a problem. So
it sounds like this is a legacy item for this instance, and I don't know if there's training or information. I know when I started remodeling a commercial building, I had no idea how the process worked until someone came by and said, "What are you doing? You can't do that." And I said, "Why not? It's my building." So because there's permits and there's things you got to. I was like, "What are you talking about? I own it. I can't." Right. Like, "Oh no, not in the city." And so there was a learning process. Unfortunately, I had to learn myself. So
if you would, all you have to do to realize that those folks are doing their job is to take a look at the. I know it's not a popular subject, but if you look at the building permit and remodel permit revenue generated from those permits this year, it would surprise you how that compares to previous years. So it's a testament to what they are catching, what they are bringing in, and making people comply to. So
yeah, and I did get an opportunity to get a permit, so I was pretty excited.
One thing is there's not going to be an expansion of this building. It's going to be just converted into a fourth apartment. There's 3 apartments there now, so it's not. I think I heard you say earlier it was expanding, but it's not actually expanding. And the other thing is this homeowner is actually trying to do the right thing by getting a permit to do this work. So that hasn't always happened in the past. And like you said, it's a legacy issue we're trying to clean up.
Okay, I think we've had discussion. All in favor of Bill 1737, the emergency rezoning, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Bill passed. Now we need to read it again, right?
Bill number 1737, emergency rezoning 512 East 8th Street. An ordinance reclassifying under the zoning code a tract of land located at 512 East 8th Street from its current zoning of R2 residential, 1 and 2 family residential, R3 multifamily dwelling, residential in Fulton, Missouri, and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place bill number 1737 for the third reading by title only at this council meeting.
Very well. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Councilman, would you read that again, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1737, emergency, rezoning 512 East 8th Street, and an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning code a tract of land located at 512 East 8th Street from its current zoning of R2 residential, 1 and 2 family residential, to R3 multifamily dwelling, residential in Fulton, Missouri, and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place this bill number 1737 for final passage at this council meeting.
Thank you. All in favor of passing Bill 1737, the emergency rezoning, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? No. Madam Clerk, would you call roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Henchy?
Yes.
Mr. Luther?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Reclue?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
No.
Thank you. 7 council members affirmative and 1 opposed.
Thank you. We'll move on to first reading of Bill number 1738. Councilman West, would you read that, please?
Yes, sir. Bill number 1738, 2025 to 2027 Animal Shelter Service Agreement. An ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to enter into an agreement with the city of Holt Summit, Missouri for animal shelter services provided by the city of Fulton Grab Animal Shelter and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place bill number 1738 for second reading at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Okay, thank you. This is same agreement that we've always had with them for quite a number of years, I believe. We don't get a whole lot of animals from them, but we do get a few every now and then. So do we have any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of moving this bill on to second reading, bill number 1738, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you. Councilman Stone, would you read bill number 1733, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1733, Schedule of Fees and Charges, otherwise known as Rate Book 2025. An ordinance adopting the official schedule of fees and charges for the city of Fulton, Missouri for a fiscal year beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31, 2025. I make a motion to move to third reading at the, at tonight's meeting.
Second?
Okay, we've done discussed this quite a lot. Do we have any further questions on this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So, again, on the airport fees, really more questions on process. If that piece was removed from the rate book, could that be brought back to the council at the beginning of the year after further discussions? And still be applied into next year, whether it comes in January, February?
It could be removed from the book tonight and considered at a different time, yes.
Because looking at, like I know with the utility fees, right, there's a lot of numbers, research, work went in and portrayed to the council for here's where we're at, here's why we're losing money, this is where we need to go to be competitive and also balance our budget. I've seen a lot of stuff, I've heard a lot of information, but I'm not confident I have all the right information in regards to the airport fees to know that that's the right amount to go to. I know I'm personally for raising rates out there. We all know rates go up, but is this the right fee? And that's what I am not confident about. Is there an opportunity in January 14th to have a work session to really lay out all the numbers? I know, Kyle, you've done research. I know KPA's done research. See those numbers so we can make the best informed decision to, one, take care of our stakeholders and our constituents, and also stay competitive for an airport so we continue to attract business. So that's the things that I'm worried about and thinking about. And I don't want to impact the other rate increases as well, so that's why I wanted to ask that question, if that could be an opportunity if the council chose to. So.
And that was my exact hesitation on whether or not to request third reading tonight or move it on to January. So I'd be very much in favor of carving that out tonight and then continuing that discussion. Madam Clerk, is that an amendment to my motion, or is that another motion within it? Okay. I'd like to amend my motion for Bill number 1733 to remove the fee changes for the airport and everything underneath that, and then move the rest of the rate book to third reading for tonight's meeting.
I'll second that.
Very well. Any further discussion? Keep in mind, we've done this about a year ago.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I realize we did this about a year ago, and the position I taken, the gentleman shared with us about the fee, and I said, you guys have to pay something. And I remember having that conversation. They said they agreed, I did believe we have to pay something. And he agreed tonight, stated his position, and said that he don't think the fee represents really the fee of 20% pretty high. And that's fine, and I believe that they have every right to have a discussion about what we need. I'm just concerned to make sure that it is something that's substantial enough to make sure that the other fees that we put on everybody else, make sure it's not too low, that they do not have a median somewhere that we can justify. I'm in agreement with that. Any changes that we need to allow them to have an opportunity to share in a meeting. So.
And that's where we could lay all these numbers out, and it very well could come to these amounts. But just to see, very clear cut the differences between our airport and our competition, just so we can all make sure we're all making the best informed decision for not only the city but for all the stakeholders out there. That's where hopefully we can do a work session, even our first meeting on January 14th. Go through this, hopefully an hour-long work session, because it takes some time to go through those numbers, and then incorporate it into early next year for any rate changes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to remove that. All in favor, please say aye.
Just a minute, Mayor, before we go into that. I do have a question. I was stated that we benefit from having an airport. I've been here over 40-something years. I don't see any new businesses at this airport. Someone flying in and giving us, hey, we want to build this and all that. Maybe I might not be privy to know that information, who's coming in or flying in, and we benefited from the airport being here. I love airports, and I like what they do, and I have people that fly. But I just want to know what benefits are we as a city benefiting from, it's costing us money, more so than what we've benefited from. So I'm concerned about what revenue is it drawing for us. You know, we're sure we have a good airport, and we want to be competitive with some of the other ones, and yet be competitive in prices and stuff. But I'm just concerned about the revenue, what it's costing us. And so I hope it is. It's going to benefit us in the future, because it'd be great to have something, have an airport, someone can come in and help us out. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to remove, once again, the airport from the fee charges, raising the fees. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, we'll move on to the original rate book. And Councilman Stone, do you have a motion for that?
It was all in that single motion. It was an amended motion. So our vote just did the second reading.
Okay.
His motion was to remove the fee changes for the airport and move all the rest of the rate book to third reading tonight.
Okay, so we go to third reading.
Bill number 1733, Schedule of Fees and Charges, otherwise known as Rate Book 2025, an ordinance adopting an official schedule of fee and charges for the city of Fulton, Missouri for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31, 2025. I make a motion to pass Bill number 1733 amended for final passage. As amended.
Very well. We have a motion and second for third reading for bill number 1733. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Could I say one more thing
You
on
do
that?
a roll call, please, after roll call.
Mr. Luther?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Reclus?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
No.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
No.
Mr. Hingy?
Yes.
6 council members affirmative, 2 opposed.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
I would very much like to see that discussion happen at the first council meeting of the year, if that's possible. I would like to make sure that it doesn't fall. I would like it to be brought up first council meeting, because I do think that it is something, I just don't want us, we postponed rate increases last year, and I don't want to look like we're playing favorites to the airport. I do think that it's something that we need to make sure that we're following up on, and that we're taking care of, and we're discussing that, and I agree if we could have a work session over that and then make a decision at that first council meeting for a first reading, I would love to see that happen.
I support that.
I know I'm hearing Kathy typing away, so I'm sure she has notes on that. And so when the mayor sets his agenda for that, I'm sure he will be reminded as he sets those and sets those commission meetings, so we understand how that works as well.
Would that also include the gentlemen that came tonight to be a part of that meeting?
It is a public meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. We'll move on to bill number 1734. Councilman Luther, would you read that, please?
You need to step back?
Councilman Combs, will you read that for me, please?
Bill number 1734, Purchasing Policy Repeal and Enact Section 2-362. An ordinance repealing Article 6, Section 2-362, competitive bidding of the Fulton City Code, and enacting new legislation under Article 6, Section 2-362, purchasing policy of the Fulton City Code in lieu thereof. I make a motion to place bill number 1734 for third and final reading at this meeting.
Okay, we discussed that. Does anybody have any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman, would you read that again for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1734, purchasing policy, repeal and enact section 2-362, an ordinance repealing Article 6, section 2-362, competitive bidding of the Fulton City Code and enacting new legislation under Article 6, section 2-362, purchasing policy of the Fulton City Code in lieu thereof. I make a motion to pass bill number 1734 at this meeting.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Reclue?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington? Mr. Washington? That's all right.
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Hingy?
Yes.
Mr. Luther? Thank you. 7 council members affirmative.
Very well, thank you. Bill number 1735, Councilman Combs, would you read that one too?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1735, repeal Article 6, Section 2-367 through 2-369 of the City Code. An ordinance repealing Sections 2-367 through 2-369 of the Fulton City Code, or City Code of Fulton, Missouri. I make a motion to place Bill number 1735 for third and final reading at this meeting.
Okay, we've got a motion and second to place bill number 1735 for third reading at tonight's meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Councilman.
Mr. Mayor, Bill number 1735, repeal Article 6, Section 2-367 through 2-369 of the City Code. An ordinance repealing Section 2-367 through 2-369 of the City Code of Fulton, Missouri. I make a motion to pass Bill number 1735 at this meeting.
Very well. All in favor of advancing Bill 1735, or passing Bill 1735, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Reclue?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Hingy?
Yes.
Mr. Luther?
Yes.
And Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Thank you. 8 council members affirmative.
Thank you. Now we'll move to Bill 1736. Councilman Washington, would you read that for us, please?
Bill number 1736, EOC 2025-26 Service Agreement. An ordinance authorizing the mayor on the behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to execute agreement with Callaway County, Missouri to provide public emergency communication operation services for the city of Fulton 2025 to 2026. I make a motion that we place bill number 1736 for a third reading of this council meeting tonight.
Second.
Very well. We have a motion and second for bill to pass Bill 1736. And this is the EOC contract that we've had for many years. We're just renewing it. It is a little more than last year, but I think it's about the same as it was 3 years ago. So it just went down, then went back up. So, any questions?
It is. I'm gonna get a little something to hold up.
Very well. All in favor of passing Bill 1736, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Councilman, would you read it again for us, please?
Bill number 1736, an ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to execute an agreement with the County, Missouri to provide public emergency communication operation services for the city of Fulton, 2025 and 26. I make a motion that to place bill number 1736 for final passage at this tonight council meeting.
Very well. All in favor of passing Bill 1736, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Madam Clerk, would you call roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Hengy?
Yes?
Mr. Luther?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
And Ms. Reclue?
Yes.
Thank you. 8 council members affirmative.
Very well, it's passed. Thank all of you very much for coming tonight, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Our next council meeting will be January the 14th. The city will be closed on the 24th of December and the 25th, as always, and of course, January 1st for New Year's. As always, our emergency services will still be in operation. Might remind everybody that candidate filing is now open and remains through December 31st at 5 o'clock. If you need any additional information, please see our city clerk.
Mr. Mayor,
We-
will that time change by next council meeting due to the fact that we will have a work session, will it be 6 o'clock or 6:30 or, I'll just ask.
We'll, go ahead.
If we do a work session, it will begin at 7. So,
7?
if we have a work session, yes. The actual council. The council meeting.
Oh,
will
yeah,
begin
the
at 7.
council.
I think perhaps what Councilman Washington was asking, though, is if that would be moved forward a little bit. And so when the mayor sets up his agenda, I'm sure that will be communicated when Kathy sends it out. Yep.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.